What's up, Kansas City? Steven St. John here with a brand new episode of Hot Mic with SSJ. And as always, we got to thank our sponsor, Patrick Carter with Farmers Insurance, kcfarmersagent.com. He's here to help you complete your insurance picture, and he's not someone on an 800 number across the country that don't know nothing about Kansas City. He's here. He's in KC. He will give you that personal touch, and for some reason, he listens to this podcast, and he loves it. So I love you, Patrick Carter from KC. You go to kcfarmersagent.com. Patrick Carter with Farmers Insurance, our wonderful sponsor of Hot Mic with SSJ. We have a very good episode for you this time around because we're going to talk about the upcoming Kansas City Guns and Hoses event coming up on Saturday, June 24th at Municipal Auditorium. And I'm going to be one of the MCs doing some interviews in between fights and having some fun like I have the past couple of years. And you can get tickets at the Municipal Auditorium box office or through Ticketmaster. Also go to kc-crime.org to get more information and to buy tickets. Tickets are just $25. And you could get, you can get up close and watch some great fights coming up at Municipal Auditorium. And the event benefits the programs of the Kansas City Metropolitan Crime Commission, primarily the Surviving Spouse and Family Endowment Fund. And so a wonderful cause that provides funds for people that deserve it and need it. And these brave first responders, firefighters, police officers, have been training in boxing gyms, getting ready to beat each other up. And so that's a wonderful cause, and it's going to be a great event coming up on Saturday, June 24th. We have four of the fighters with us. They appeared on the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB with us this morning, and now they said they want to cuss, and so we brought them on the podcast and to talk a little bit more about them. And so you can get to know them so you can pick out who you want to root for coming up on the 24th. We have two participants that will fight each other in bout number 6 that night. Faith Jolly, who represents the Gardner Police Department, and Bailey Brewer, who lasted all my dumb jokes. And so we're going to have her part of the studio audience now every week on the Border Patrol. She represents the Lawrence Fire Department. And then in the main event, bout number 10, we've got Lucas Hare from the KCMO Police Department. So he is, I'm sure, very familiar with several members of my family. And then he's taking on Jose Rodriguez from the Lawrence Fire Department. Everyone, how's everyone doing today? Thank you for being here. I'm sure you guys are fired up to fight coming up on the 24th. And you just get right up on the mic when it's your turn to talk, and so we can hear you and you can tell us all about this. We're going to go backwards now because we started with Faith and Bailey on the radio show. So we'll start with the main event here. Lucas Hare from the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department taking on Jose Rodriguez from the Lawrence Fire Department. And you can see, like, on the radio show, like my first hour of the radio show is on live TV on 38 The Spot, but the 9 o'clock hour is not, so you couldn't see him. Now you can see him. And you can see why I felt Lucas and Jose were furious to be on the radio show. But now they've kind of warmed up. I'm actually seeing smiles and stuff, so they're not exactly angry. And so let's start off with Lucas. Like I said, KCMO Police Department. How long have you been on the police department? Tell me how you ended up being a police officer, and just give us a little bit of your background story.
So I've been a police officer for 3 years now, if you count academy time, which we normally don't count. It's just about 3.5. I became a police officer in 2019, right after I graduated college. It was not something I was expecting. When I went into college, it was not what I was expecting to do.
Where'd you go to school?
Benedictine College,
okay,
in Atchison, Kansas.
All right.
It was one of those things where it was very random. I think I was either 19 or 20 when I took a random criminal justice class, and I thought that it'd be kind of cool to maybe do a ride-along, check out the police department, and just see what it was like. And then I did one ride-along in East Patrol, Kansas City, and I was like, this job is for me.
That's a ride-along right there. There's a lot of different places you go to ride-along. Like if you're looking to see something, there you go. Right?
It was one of those where, I mean, I'd seen a lot of TV shows and movies and stuff like that, and there were things we did that day that were legitimately like what you would see in movies, and I thought all that stuff was fake or, just to amp everything up, but it is real sometimes. And I knew after that day, it took that one ride along. I still am I know those 2 officers very well now, and I remember a lot of calls that we went on that day.
What stands out to you? Maybe one story or something you remember most about that ride along that sticks with you?
I remember one. It's one of those where a lot of people do believe that, police like kick in doors all the time and all that kind of stuff. That's actually not true. We try not to kick in people's doors.
Have you ever kicked in a door?
A lot of paperwork. Sometimes you have to.
Okay, right, that's fine.
But there's a lot of stuff you got to write up after that, and there's a lot of people you got to call. But we were there that day. We got called on people fighting. We get there, and inside you could hear a lady screaming, and I'm sitting there in a khaki pants and a polo. I look like I do not belong on this ride along in the middle of, basically the hood.
Right.
And they kicked this door in, got in a full-blown fight with this guy, and I'm kind of standing there like, I don't know if I need help, if I need to, get this lady out of here. And I was watching them get in that fight, and I was just kind of standing with the lady who was very much something occurred physically. And, it was one of those where I was watching them fight, and they got him in custody, and I was like, wow, that was awesome. And for them, I've asked them about it. They didn't even remember that. They're like, yeah, that's literally an everyday thing. But for me, I was like, I'd never seen that before except for on TV shows and in movies.
But for some people, that would have been like, nope, not this. This is not for me. But that was when you were in that situation. You said, yeah, this is this. I want to pursue this.
As soon as I saw him boot the door in, and realistically, I know a lot of people say they become first responders to help people, which is true for everybody. Like, that's for the most part, you become a first responder so you can help other people. Watching them kick a door in, handle business, get a guy into custody, and either save this person from further physical injury and or something worse, that's where I was like, not only was it awesome to see them do all this cool stuff, but they also got to help somebody that, very much needed our help. So that is, it was just like a light bulb, and I knew instantly that's what I wanted to do.
See, now I know you've been glancing over at this door. Please don't kick that door in. It seems like you want to go over there and show me. Please don't.
It looks easy enough to kick in or not.
I'd have a lot of paperwork after that, so we'd like to avoid that. Okay, so that's a little bit about Lucas and your background becoming a police officer. So then, what made you want to fight at Guns and Hoses? Because that's another level of some people would say adrenaline. Some people would say insanity, wanting to get in there and punch people and get punched. But what made you want to do that?
I would say we heard about it in the academy. They told us, they're like, hey, there's an event, for a good cause where you get to get in there and box with a firefighter, and all the money goes to benefit families who have lost a loved one in the line of duty. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. Fitness has always been a big thing for me. I enjoy physical fitness, and I think it's super important for whether you're a cop, firefighter, whatever. So I thought, I was like, well, not only am I going to increase my physical fitness, but to get in and be able to fight with a firefighter and have all that money go to a good cause, you can't say no to that. And
so, of course, the number one motivating factor was safe, and you feel like that's a wonderful cause, and it is, right? But then let's just be honest, you were highly motivated by the idea of punching a firefighter for some reason.
Absolutely.
That captured your heart, and so that is now you're days away from that. How excited are you to punch a firefighter?
I'm extremely excited.
Wow.
It's one of those. I know he's sitting right over there, and he's got some long arms, so I'm gonna have to get underneath the long arms. But I'm excited. I've been training really hard, and it's been a lot more work than I even expected. So it's been a long time coming.
And so like Jose seems like a good guy to me, and it's different now that you put a face to the firefighter you get a punch. Does that change it at all, or maybe it's like, nah, I really want to punch a firefighter? Like, how does
I will say, we've shook hands. We've had the opportunity to have conversations with each other. It's one of those where, quote unquote, technically, yes, at the end of the day, like, we're on the same team. I know that if I was shot, stabbed, hurt, or whatever, he's coming to save my life, and I hope that if the same for him, I'd hope that he knows that I'm coming for him also. But for those 3 minutes in the ring,
right,
we are not friends.
That's right. There we go. That you said it perfectly.
I'm just glad we're on the same page on that.
Right. Okay. So now let's go. Yeah. Because you said all the right things. Okay. So let's go to Jose Rodriguez, representing the Lawrence Fire Department. Let's just go through your background. So how did you end up becoming a firefighter?
So just kind of right out of high school, worked 2 jobs, like just trying to make rent kind of thing. Knew that wasn't going to work out.
And where'd you go to high school at?
I went to Lawrence High in Lawrence. So born and raised in Lawrence. And then things happened. Had to move in back with my mom. Only rule was I had to go to school to do something. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I tried an EMR class. Then one thing led to another. Went to EMT, and then kind of fell into the fire part thing, and just went from there and fell in love with it. It's crazy that they pay you to go break things, and they pay you to go do these cool trainings and get to go do cool stuff every day. So,
so he likes kicking in doors. You like breaking things.
Oh yeah,
which is very destructive.
I was looking at the door.
Right, I know this door's not going to make it through this podcast. I don't know.
It's the same thing, same kind of idea. I think fire and police, pretty same kind of people.
Right.
Just kind of pick 2 different jobs. So.
But you're no stranger to guns and hoses. You've already 2 years ago you fought at Guns and Hoses, lost a disputed split decision, and then last year you were training again. You hurt your shoulder, but this year you're back for more. So how much is this like redemption? Like you want to get that win, and you want to rectify and right a wrong. So how much of that is like it's not against him, but still you want to. Maybe you feel like you won that fight and you want to go out there and prove that you should have won that fight.
Yeah, it was like it's one of those things that everyone, like, they're just trying to get out of the comfort zone. The first year I was like, yeah, I'm just going to try it. It's a good cause, really fun event. And then I thought I was just going to, like, that was going to be my thing. And then after I lost, you're like, fuck, like.
Right.
Like, yeah, like,
that's right.
Then now I want to, like, yeah.
Right, no.
Now I kind of want, yeah.
Oh, no, trust me.
I broke the.
Oh, trust me. Like, told you guys, I fought in the gloves, and I made it to the finals and fought at Municipal in 96, and I lost a decision.
Yep.
Like, I had all my people there, and I had and I was like, fuck, this is, and I, like, for 3 or 4 days, I didn't even want to talk to nobody. Yep. I want to, I would have come out of my house. I was so distraught, and I had already made up my mind. I'm not going to go through the Golden Gloves again. I'm not going to go through all this. I'm done as an amateur. And so, thankfully, a local promoter saw how many people showed up to see me fight. And so then they think, well, he could sell some tickets. And so I signed a pro contract at part of the Beaumont Club. And so I won with a 2nd-round knockout. And I was just getting ready to – so my first child was 4 or 5 months away from being born. I just graduated from UMKC. And as soon as I got out of the ring, first person I hugged was my mom, who's no longer with us, God rest her soul. And she looked at me and she said, you just graduated college. You have a kid on the way. That's your last fucking fight. And I grew up, my mom being from Mexico and everything else. She was very. When she said something, I wasn't gonna. I said, but it made sense. Yeah, I said, you know what? And also, I'm going out with a win because I knew how bad those past 4 months were, and how mad I was, and so I get it. And so now you want to get in there and you want to get that win. And so that's a huge motivating factor. And so, like when you hear that, and he wants revenge, and he wants to break stuff and everything else, like what's that mean? What motivates you to get in there? Since this is your first time, not that you want it less, but tell me what's driving you through all the tough training and the sparring and everything you've had to go through to get in there and be motivated to win this fight in a week and a half.
One of my biggest things is I'm gonna have a lot of people watching. My department is counting on me not to let them down, and that's one of those where I refuse to lose. So it's one of those now, like, he knocks me out, I'm gonna have to get up and give him a high five and say, hey, good job, but that's gonna have to be the only way. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep coming.
I'm just saying, like, it was split decisions, so it could have gone either way. There's only one way that you don't have to worry about a decision. You take the judges out of it, right? And so does that make you – like, you hear other fighters that have lost a disputed decision, they say, well, I'm not going to put it in the judge's hands this time around. Does that go through your mind? Like, I don't want to hear scores. I know one way I can win for sure, and there's no doubt.
Yeah, I think ideally that's what you want to say, but, like, the reality of it and the way things go, it's 3 minutes. Like, you have to do some crazy, like, headgear, the 16-ounce gloves. There's a lot of factors to that. Like,
it's tough.
Yeah, you got to – yeah, but we'll see. We'll try. We're trying to make a show, like you said. Like, we're going out throwing bombs. So
there we go. So I told you about my mom. It's so funny. My mom would watch the fight like this when I was fighting. Yeah. And so like any resistance from anyone in your family. I mean, you already, you put your life on the line and what you do, and there's no question how brave you are and how tough you are. But, was everyone on board with this? Was anyone trying to talk you out of this? Your family totally behind this 100%?
So all my family was behind it. I mean, especially my dad he was super hype. He was like, that's freaking awesome.
He's all fired up.
Yeah, he was like, I cannot wait to see that. And then my fiance, of course, she was like, she was a cop for a little while with Casey Moe, and she decided to do something else. But she had heard about it. She knew what it was about. She knew I wanted to try it. The main thing was the first time I came home after sparring, never sparred before except for, putting on some gloves and throwing some haymakers at your college buddies.
Right.
And I came home with a bloody nose and a black eye, and she's like, "Are you gonna hit the other dude back? Or are you just gonna take some punches?"
That's right.
So she was like, if you want to keep doing this, you got to hit the other guy. I was like, I tried. He's too fast. I didn't know what to do.
Dude, one time when I was done with sparring, I went over to have dinner with my girlfriend at her grandma's house, and I made the mistake of went straight from sparring over there to go eat. And I show up, and I was kind of a bleeder, and it wasn't stopping yet. So I go in there. I go, "Hey, can I go in the bathroom real quick?" And trying to clean myself up. And I overheard her grandma tell, "He's not very good, is he?" And I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'm not." So that was kind of a come to Jesus moment. Like, okay, I think this career is going to be short. All right. So what about you? Any of your family? Are they all on board?
I think they kind of know I'm the type of person that's like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Like, they haven't really said anything if there is like a thing that's bothering them, but
get behind me or get out of the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. And so we'll come back to you guys in a minute. So that sets up. That's going to be the main event. Lucas here from KCMO Police Department against Jose Rodriguez from the Lawrence Fire Department. Now this fight's going to happen a few fights before. That's bout number 10. This is going to be bout number 6, and this is going to be. I can already tell this is going to be a hell of a fight. We have Faith Jolly from the Gardner Police Department and Bailey Brewer from the Lawrence Fire Department. And so, Faith, let's start with you. You're born and raised in Gardner. And so you told me earlier that you used to watch Cops, and that was fun, and you wanted to be a police officer. And so, and that was it? Was there any other reason that motivated you to become a police officer? Tell me a little bit about what you did before and what led you to ending up making that decision.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a police officer. I think like the negative light police are shown in the news, that's also one of the factors. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be the different cop. Can't really do that, but I'll try. Before this, I worked in a prison, Kansas City Reentry Center down in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
And then I worked at McDonald's for 6 years in my hometown, Gardner.
So what did you enjoy, the McDonald's or the prison?
I'm going to say McDonald's.
Who had better food?
McDonald's for sure.
So you worked in a prison. Tell me, give me something, the most interesting thing that happened when you were working in the prison, or anything that's, when you think back to that time, that stands out to you, or a story or anecdote. Was there anything that?
Not really. It was like a reentry center, so they had like 2 years until they got
right.
out. So they were trying to be on their best behavior.
So there was nothing. I mean, no, you didn't. There was no any. Cause I like the way because anybody watch 60 Days In.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I watched. So there was nothing. I mean, I don't know. Is anything that you had any fights you had to break up or riots or nothing? It was pretty uneventful.
Pretty uneventful.
Right.
One guy did fall in love with me. He got
really?
Rolled, yep. He got rolled to the next camp. It was weird.
Let's hear about that. So what happened? Him falling in love with you? Did he just declare his love for you?
Yeah,
or
it was weird. I was walking out of the kitchen. He's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" He's like, "I know you're not dumb, and I'm not dumb, and I've got a lot of feelings for you." And I was like, "Okay."
Was there a spark at all there?
No.
Not, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't. I don't.
He was a sex offender, so
right.
he was in there for whatever. But
probably kind of cross you off the list there if you're looking to check the boxes.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, but then was it awkward? He was out of there. There was.
Yeah, I told the
awkward.
supervisor, and he got rolled to a different camp.
Okay, and so wasn't quite expecting that story, but still, I asked for something interesting, and it was okay. You ever break up a fight at McDonald's, or did anyone fall in love with you there? I mean, that's
no.
all right? Okay, all right. So now you're a police officer. And then, like, what made you decide to take part in Guns and Hoses?
Some coworkers were telling me about it a few years ago, and so I tried a few years ago when the training was really hard. So I dropped out, and
How long did you last?
I think I went to 3 sessions, and then it was at Pound for Pound in Lenexa, and the girl I was sparring against was number 2 in the United States, and I was like, this is not fun.
Do you remember her name? Like what?
It was Kate something.
That's probably not a good sparring partner
Nope,
for someone
yeah.
just starting.
Yeah, I was
'Cause
like,
I went through some of that. When you spar someone that knows what they're doing, that's not fun.
it's not fun. It wasn't fun. So
Right.
I was like, I'm not going back.
So did you take any heat from anyone for like not following through with it, or
I went to title boxing over here.
Yeah.
And so I told the general manager that I was gonna do Guns and Hoses, and he told the entire gym.
Oh no.
So yeah, I couldn't go back to that gym. I
Oh,
stopped
no.
going to that gym.
So then for you, how much of this is you started and then you stopped and you wanted to prove to yourself that you could get through this? And I'm not saying you're not out there to win the fight, but it seems like maybe this was something that you wanted to show yourself, hey, I'm going to get through this and do this. How much did that motivate you?
It motivated me a lot, and then having Jan and Coach Neal talk to me as well, that motivated me as well.
But now that you've gotten through it and you're going to fight, like you feel something different, like, yeah, I did this. It's all right. I'm good.
Yeah.
And so you're as you told us, a multi-sport athlete. You played, was it tennis, bowling, basketball, track? What was your event in track and field?
I was a long and triple jumper.
Okay. Oh, so explosiveness and the power comes from the legs.
Right.
So this is something, and then we talked about bowling could lead to the uppercut. And so let's talk to your opponent, Bailey Brewer. Now, Bailey, so you're with the Lawrence Fire Department as well, but you're not the only one. You've got a couple of people from the Lawrence Fire Department
there's 4 of us.
that's going through this with you, right?
Yes.
So there's 4 of you. And so then same question for you. Take me back to your decision to become a firefighter.
Well, it was like 2016 or something. I had just left K-State, like not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. My mom was like, you should volunteer for the local.
You're right up on the mic and tell us. Yeah.
And
So you were at K-State.
yeah.
And so what were you studying at K-State?
Photography. Then that was silly because you can't teach art. At least that's what I think. So I went back home after a year and was just like, what am I going to do? You know, medical stuff is really interesting to me. So my mom, like I said, suggested I volunteer for the fire department. I literally laughed at her. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do that, right? And she's like, no, really, they do mostly medical stuff, and it's not that much schooling. So I did the EMT class, and then I I applied and got hired. I got to volunteer for Eudora City Fire, and then went through the fire academy, and it is fun. Like Jose says, like you get to break a bunch of shit.
Right.
It's just like, wait, I can get paid for this? So that's when I really started focusing on like, okay, I want to do this full time. This is my career. And broken bones are cool too. I don't know. Blood and guts.
I'm not sure. What is like not your broken bones, or like trying to help
I
someone
mean,
with broken bones, or like what?
to be fair, if I had a bone sticking out of my skin, I'd probably be like, oh, that's really cool too. You know, it's just kind of cool. I don't know.
Is it Faith? Are you taken aback at all when your opponent says broken bones are cool?
I know she's lying because I know all they do is lift assist. They just pick people off the floor. They don't do that.
Wow.
Occasionally.
Okay.
Occasionally there's a serious call.
Okay. So then, what made you get involved with Guns and Hoses then?
So I had heard about it, but I don't consider myself an athletic person. So, sorry.
Get right on the microphone.
It's so intimidating.
That's right.
Don't consider myself an athletic person, so I put it off. And then Jose signed up this year, and then my friend Jasmine, who's also doing it, she's about 2. She texted me one day. She's like, I did it. I signed up. I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm doing it. It's the final push I needed. So.
And did you have any reservations, or was there ever a moment like, oh no, I don't want to do this shit? Or were you all in from the beginning?
I've been all in from the beginning. There have been times where I'm like, why did I think my fat ass could do this? Like, I am not in shape enough for this.
I say that every day in the mirror, but that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
I get over it.
Exactly.
But like, was there ever a moment like have you really been hurt at all, or got your bell rung in any sparring or anything? Where
Yeah.
you're like, shit.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where I'm like, am I wearing headgear? Like, what? You know, because Jasmine and I spar a lot, and she's a menace.
Right.
So she's hit me a couple times, like really good. And then I have this bad habit. I laugh. It makes me laugh.
Right. So you laugh like in the ring. You laugh when you
Yeah,
get hit.
I get to having a good time, and
Right.
I start giggling.
That
and
could be somewhat intimidating. Like if they're because. I mean, like kind of like a Batman Joker thing. You're beating him up, and he's laughing. Like, what the hell? You're not supposed to be laughing. Like, if you clock her, and you think like I just hit her with my best punch, and she starts laughing. I mean, is that gonna mess with your head at all? Because I feel
No.
like she could laugh right in the middle of the fight.
It's gonna be more motivation to hit her harder next time.
Okay, then all right. And so, a question I'll stick with you guys, and then I'd like you all to answer this question. So, one of the most difficult things to deal with when you fight is fear. Just the fear of fighting in front of a bunch of people, the fear of losing, the fear of all different types of fear. And that's why and I bring up Mike Tyson, and his trainer that passed away when he was still a young fighter, Customato. He said fear is very powerful because you could use it. It's like a fire. It'll either burn you alive, and if you don't handle it, or if you control it, it can motivate you and be that fire that burns you in the right way. And so what you guys all have is you have jobs where most people in the world would be afraid and would have to deal with fear on a daily basis. And so I'll ask you this, like in at any time, like is fear something you deal with as a firefighter? Do you just not have that, is in your blood? And is there any fear getting into the ring that you're dealing with at all?
I would say, fear is obviously definitely a part of my job, and sparring as well. I don't think it like hinders me at all. I almost like really enjoy fear. Like I love scary movies, love haunted houses, I love being scared. I don't know if that's makes me an adrenaline junkie or something, maybe. But the adrenaline helps like mitigate the problems that fear can present, right? You just power through regardless of, how much crap is in your pants.
And well, of course. So graphic. Broken bones and now crap-filled pants. And so Bailey is painting quite a picture. But honestly, like, you have to be able to get through that with your job and think clearly.
Yeah.
Because lives are on the line, or even your life could be on the line. And so that gives you the opportunity, I think, for most people that get in the ring, you're good with that. You know how to deal with fear, and you know how to deal with adrenaline. So that's not going to be a problem for you when you get in the ring.
Yeah.
Okay, so Faith, what about you? Tell me a little bit about just, the mindset of being a police officer. Is that something you deal with, fear, or does that even register with you? And how does it feel? How does it compare, the fear or whatever anxiety you go through with your daily job to training for a fight, and what you're going to experience walking into that ring on the 24th?
It's kind of like what Bailey said. I think the fear is there. I just have to tell myself that I have to do this. There's people counting on me. I can't pull back. I have to do this. So the fear is there. I just get through it. I just tell myself I have to go. I don't think there's any fear going into this fight. Because of all the training in the police department and the training at Heston's. I think I'm just prepared with all the training.
All right, Lucas, what about you? I actually have some fear asking you this question because you look like you're ready once again to kick that door in. But maybe what about being a police officer has you prepared mentally to be able to go in the ring and not let fear or anxiety overtake you, so you could follow your game plan and be able to execute the game plan that the trainer has for you? Because look, there are different kinds of fear, but you operate under a lot of pressure, and that can help you in the ring on the 24th.
So a little bit opposite of what they're saying when it comes to fear. I feel like for my job, I don't have any fear when I'm working or when I'm doing my job, and that's just from having a good partner, having good teammates around, and just enjoying all the high adrenaline stuff, car chases, foot chases, lots of shootings, all this stuff that are unfortunate a lot of times, but we got to deal with them. I've had a lot more fear going into the fight just because it's something that's brand new. Like, I've been a police officer for 3 years, so obviously in the academy, that's where that fear for the job started to kind of fade away once we started to learn about it. But for boxing, when, this whole time everything's been new. The first time I got in the ring to spar, definitely had some fear about getting punched in the mouth. Or when we went to KCK and we were all sparring each other, it was like, okay, man, I'm, might be going up against one of these guys. So then there was that fear kicking in of like, well, I don't want to make sure I don't lose my footing or do anything dumb or get punched real hard. Or so I would say that I've had more fear going into the fight, but with all the training and with a good coach, with a good sparring partner especially, has been huge to help mitigate that and just to be like, hey, you just got to push through. Like, you're going to have some fear. You're going to have some adrenaline when you walk out in front of all those people. You just got to stay focused. And you got to remember that you only have 3 minutes. It's like, you're not going 15 3-minute rounds. You have 3 1-minute rounds. That's it. That's a short fight. So just get out there and stay focused, look at your opponent, and that's all you got to worry about.
So Jose, you come at this from a different angle because you've gone through the process of fighting. So what was that like for you, in the moments leading up to the fight, and then walking to the ring, and then getting in the ring with all those people in the crowd? Take me back to maybe what you experienced that first time you actually fought.
Yeah, it's like the thing you think you're ready, like you're like, I thought when I first fight, like I was cool, like no worries, I've sparred, I'm fine, whatnot, and then like you get there, and it's just like the stuff that you've never done before, you've never like can really prepare for, like those first time things, like you've never. Like for me, at that point, I never had like my hands just like taped and wrapped like professionally.
It
like,
doesn't feel right, does it?
It feels different. Like the going to the doctor thing, like getting that checked out, just being like hearing the crowd, like hearing that thing. And I was the 9th fight last time, second to last one. So you just hear fights the whole time. I was telling him earlier that like warming up too soon. Like you're just anxious. You're sitting there the whole time. You're kind of you're wanting to do something, so you just start getting warmed up, and then you have to kind of like sit down, like, all right, well, I still have another hour or so before I fight. The whole like going out to the ring, like even just like the whole like walking out, like trying to focus on what you're doing, like getting too excited, don't want to walk too fast, don't want to walk too slow thing. Like even like I remember like rewatching my video. Like they had the robe on. I was like, when do I take this thing off? Like, do I take it off like in the ring, outside the ring?
About
like,
way too much
exactly,
shit.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's so I wasn't prepared for that part. But now like going into it, been done, like doing it before. Like I know those little things. I know what to like expect now. I know what everything's gonna look like. I know how things are supposed to be set up now, and I just feel way more prepared in that aspect of it.
Because like even like going back to things you don't think about, like, okay, when should I eat?
Exactly.
What should I eat? How much water should I drink? Because I'm gonna, going back to what you said about filling your pants with poop. You don't. I'm gonna tell you, you don't want to go to the walk to the ring and they go, I got to go to the bathroom. You don't think about that, but then you get a good punch in the stomach, and then oh no, this is in front
really
of several thousand people, right? But I'm glad you said that about the wrapping of the hands, because when they do it the right way, it doesn't fucking feel right, and you're thinking I can't even close, but then. You warm up, you hit the mitts or whatever else, and it feels all right. But you kind of have that, and you're looking at a guy that's wrapped a million hands. It's like, this isn't right. And looks, it's right. Just deal with it. But all these little things. So then he has that little bit of an advantage over you. Does that concern you at all? Have you talked to people that have gone through this maybe to get some tips on how to handle these other things? I don't know, to know when you take your robe off or whatever, like Jose was dealing with.
So I got a buddy who works at East Patrol with me who did it last year. Who's not doing it this year just because all the work that really goes into it. But he said it was probably the coolest experience he had ever done. Said that he eventually will do it again. He didn't give me any of the specific tips on where. I'll probably ask my coach and be like, hey, you just let me know when I need to just throw this back or whatever.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
But yeah, he kind of just gave me some tips on like, hey, like with the first time you walk out there, like you got to be laser focused. If you start looking around at the crowds, trying to check where your family's at, next thing you know, you're distracted. Your walkout music ends and you're only halfway of the ring, and then you just got to be focused, man. You're there. And it's a short. Everybody's always told me for this is like it's a short fight. Like you got to be focused for literally it's like 10 minutes, like 10 minutes of time with your rest periods. Just be focused for 10 minutes, and then you can go do whatever after that.
Yeah, when you think about it, if it goes the distance, it's 3 minutes of fighting, and you only have 3 minutes to impress the judges because it's likely to go to the judges' scorecards. And so if you're jacking around for 45 seconds of the first round and not focused, well, you've already lost that round, and then you got to win the next two. And so that's perfect advice. You got to be on because there's only 1 minute around. You got to fight for every second of that round. Okay, so I'll ask you, Bailey. You have some unique answers, so I can't wait to hear this. Have you received any advice about just dealing with distractions or anything else you might have to deal with leading into the fight? Have you thought about any of this stuff? Because there is some things you have to get ready for, and the preparation is going to be key.
Yeah, I've not really been warned about a whole lot other than you may or may not actually hear your music, because I was having serious commitment issues with what my song was going to be, right? Other than that, not really. But now I am very concerned about when I'll take my robe off.
I look like an idiot. I like watched the video. I'm like on the ring, like getting ready to go in the ropes, and I'm like, oh, what do I have this thing?
I've seen a guy where he forgot and his corner forgot and the bell's getting ring and he had his robe on still, so it wasn't as bad for you. All right, so Faith, what about you? Have you talked to anyone that's gone through this to try to maybe get some helpful advice that just besides the actual boxing, because there are other things you have to factor in when you're getting ready for this fight?
I haven't talked to anybody else, but our property guy, he used to go to the event and watch. He said that, a minute's a long time, so just to pace yourself is what he told me. Instead of just coming out and throwing straight blows for a whole minute, you've got two other minutes. Yeah,
keep pacing.
Keep
pacing yourself.
Watch me. I will pace myself. I'm gonna let you get tired in 30 seconds, and then it's gonna happen.
I almost forgot you guys are fighting. I thought she'll give her some good advice. Like, oh shit, they're fighting each other. You got it. I'm dummy. I'm like, why you?
You can have the first 30 seconds.
But and also, a lot of times the judges are overly impressed with what happens in the last 10 seconds and who finishes strong. But it's so crazy because every judge is different. Like some judges like the aggressor, other judges looking for ring generalship, other judges love a good jab. Some judges don't give any credit for body punches. So it's just, you got to just be yourself and trust your training, trust your trainer. And that's the other thing I'll tell you, just trust what he tells you. Because if you're not, then it's just, it ain't going to work, and just try to be able to lock in that laser-like focus. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about your professions. And I don't know if you have something or if you can share it or whatever, but maybe I feel like you're going to have a story at least. So tell me maybe about the craziest shit you've ever seen on the job, or something that you think, like something to just, and it doesn't have to be, terrible, or just something, maybe a funny story, or just something, a story that's unique to your job that maybe gives people that are watching, listening, some insight that will never be firefighters or never be police officers. Something that you've experienced on your job that maybe sticks with you, whether it's funny, whether it's something that was powerful or impactful. Maybe give me a story of just what it's like to take a walk in your shoes on a daily basis.
I don't know. This is super specific, but it is shocking the things that people will call 911 for.
Oh, geez.
I would say maybe 2% of our call volume is like actual emergencies.
Right.
And I do want to let the listeners know that if you have a ladder and some batteries, you don't have to call 911 to change the smoke detector batteries.
All right, good to know.
It's free. They do it for free.
Right.
Please call them.
That is true. Make sure you do it at 3 a.m.
Okay. Oh, jeez. All right. What about you, Jose?
I'm trying to think. There's it kind of gets there's categories you want to you can get the gory most perfect stuff, or the that kind of stuff.
But did you see your favorite?
My faves.
That was my fave. So.
It's a little different too, living. If you live in.
Is she like this all the time? By the way, she's okay.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. I don't know if she's playing up to the cameras,
no,
but
she's not.
Just, okay. All
she's
right.
probably playing down a little bit.
Right. I feel like there needs to be a camera crew that kind of like cops follow her around for a couple of days to see what's going on.
Yeah. I guess the one that always sticks out to me. It's kind of gory. But so we were. This lady was getting her car towed, and she was on a incline or whatnot. Tried to push it out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, got caught under it. Bad things happened, whatnot. Ended up dying. And her boyfriend or husband was inside. Didn't know. He knew she was going out there to help the tow truck driver, but didn't realize what was happening until the sirens came. So that aspect of it, the dead, you see bad things happen, people, dead bodies, whatever. But the family aspect of it, him finding out right then that that.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, that's that kind of stuff. And I unfortunately lived catty corner to where that was. So I saw the whole interaction of them them moving their stuff out, like that car was still parked there the whole time. Like they just like kind of like put the car back up and that kind of thing. That's the one that like, I guess when people ask me what's the worst thing you've ever seen, like that, and it's not even like the most gory thing you've seen. It's just like something that emotionally like sticks with you.
But see, and that's it's difficult to talk about, but I'm glad that you guys brought that up, because when we think about the sacrifices that you make, people are always quick to say you risk your lives to run into a fire or to save someone, or a car accident, or a situation where there's gunfire involved, or whatever, anything that you do on a daily basis. But I don't think enough people realize and understand. And I had an uncle that I was very close with that was a Kansas City, Kansas police officer. And we were very close, and he would share some of the stories with me. And I feel like looking back, because he passed away at the age of 39, he battled Lou Gehrig's disease. And now looking back, it helped him to talk to me and just to kind of get some things off his chest. And I was only a teenager, and I was listening, just to listen. And I think it helped him. But some of the things that you guys see and just experience and have to go through, whether it's seeing people go through some of the worst moments of their lives, or having to help someone in their worst moments, when you're off your shift, you take that with you. You take that home with you. And I have so much respect and admiration for all of you, because that's something you have to live with, and it takes a special kind of person that not everyone can do that. And not everyone can deal with that. And so you bringing that up, that does resonate, because I think not enough people truly understand that and understand how difficult it is to be able to compartmentalize and do that and say, okay, I'm done with my shift. Now I'm going to go home and see my family, or now I'm going to go home and try to live a normal life. And you just can't take that out of your brain, right? And it's very difficult.
Yeah, unfortunately, when your uncle was going through it, it was a big stigma. Like, you don't talk about it, you just kind of toughen up.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing now. It's like you're encouraged to talk about it. Like, everyone knows you're human. Like, you have to get that stuff off your chest. So at least for us, and we're lucky for our line of our job. Like, we have guys that we go home, we go back to the station with, and we talk about that stuff. And it could be joking around and whatnot, but it's mostly just to get it off your chest, just to talk about stuff. And it sucks for them. They're going back. I don't know if you guys run partners or whatnot, but most of the time they're going back to their car by themselves and have a traumatic event, and they just kind of have to eat that and sit with it. So that's something I don't I mean, for you guys, that's a hard part of your job for sure.
And Lucas, I know, and East Patrol, I mean, you see, it's probably when you don't see something on a daily basis, it's more of a surprise. You have to be mentally prepared to see all kinds of shit every day you're out there, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of violence. It's unfortunate, but it's part of it. Luckily for East Patrol, most people do not ride we call it one person by themselves. Most 99 of calls in East Patrol require two officers to respond. So most people ride two-person. I got lucky that 3 years ago I joined a shift on the police department where a guy and I, just said, hey, yeah, we'll just hop in together and see what happens. And now he's literally I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Let's Be Cops, but that's literally us. We are legitimately best friends that I never thought would happen, or like end of watch type of thing, where me and him are he's a groomsman, my wedding coming up in November, so he's a legitimate best friend or brother that I never had. I grew up with three sisters, so that has helped a lot because I can always talk to him. We're very like-minded. If something happens, I know that he more than likely just saw it too, but maybe he saw it in a different way. So we'll talk through things if we need to, but yeah, I would say a lot happens in East Patrol, which is unfortunate, but we also we love it because we know that we can go out and help more people and do more fun things.
And it's important too that you have that trust, like you said, you call him a brother. You never have to question that, and that I'm sure is so important for your job, right? To be able to have that absolute trust in your partner.
Yeah, especially even to the point of I think it was touched on earlier, the negative light that police officers especially are seen in. That's he knows and he can tell when we're on our 33rd call for service that day, and it's the that one call where we've already kind of been on it at 4 separate places, and I've already explained it 4 times, but it wasn't these guys, so they don't know. He can hear the change in my voice, and he'll come over and be like, hey, why don't you go talk to them? I'll talk to them now. Because he can tell that I'm starting to get frustrated, and he can be like, I'm going to switch him out, make sure that we're good here so he doesn't say anything dumb, or he doesn't, because controlling your emotions is important. After a long day, sometimes, you know, you might lose it, but a lot of times if you have a good partner, he can understand where your, you know, where your voice starts to change, or if you're starting to pace back and forth even, or any of those types of things. So having a good partner, to me, is vital to having, you know, to survive in this job.
That's great insight. And Faith, what about you? You're out in Gardner, and maybe you don't see as many things, but still that doesn't change the risk or the impact when you do go through something like that. Tell me just a little bit about what that's like for you on a daily basis and what you do.
Yeah, we don't get 33 calls a day, maybe
Right.
like 5 if we're lucky. But if something's happening, Gardner, it's happening. It's your adrenaline's going, and you don't do these calls often, so you're kind of like scatterbrained and look for your supervisor for help.
But you know, the same thing. You're out there, and you know when the shit hits the fan, you got to be, you know,
Right,
it's
gotta be ready.
yeah, you got to be ready. And so let's get into the why. We talked about, you know, you're all very competitive. You guys are all, you know, have this clearly this love for adrenaline and doing things that are exciting, and that's what you're going to experience in the ring. But the most important reason why you're doing this is to raise money for the Surviving Spouse and Family Endowment Fund, SAFE. And that is so very important because SAFE provides financial assistance to the dependent families of first responders in SAFE's 12-county coverage area who are killed or suffer catastrophic injury in the line of duty. And that's, I can't express how important that is, right? Because we're talking about the families, because the families, I mean, they and again, seeing it and just, you know, experiencing with my uncle's a police officer, it's hard on the families because they worry about you and they constantly, every time they see something on the news or hear it's tough on them. And then when something does happen, I think it's so important to make sure that they know that there's that network of support, not only financially, but emotionally. And that's why SAFE is so important. And so we'll just kind of go around the table. You know, Faith, for you, tell me why it's important for us to have events like this and to raise not only money but awareness for SAFE, so we could support those that really need it the most at their most trying times.
Again, I commemorate all first responders for putting their lives on the line, and it's good that they cover the 12 counties because, you know, there's the police officer who died in North Kansas City and
Right.
a few in Overland Park. It's good that they get that relief within 48 or 24 to 48 hours, and it's not only just affecting the family, it affects their department and the 12 counties surrounding it.
And for you, I know obviously it's near and dear to your heart and something that I know motivates you to want to go and give back and make sure people know how important SAFE is.
100%. I think it's one of those things where I had never heard about it until I joined the police department. You know, as a regular civilian, that's not something that I would have even thought of. But it's one of those two where it's like when you lose a loved one in the line of duty, if you're the direct family, the wife or the husband or the kids, like you're immediately not only losing a loved one, but that's income to make sure that you can keep living on. So what SAFE does is they come in and they're like, hey, we are going to help you financially. So that's the last problem you have to worry about. Like your problem right now is making sure that you guys are okay and that we can work through this issue of losing a loved one. We do not want money to be an issue in that. And that's something that is truly incredible and unlike anything I've ever heard of. So, I mean, SAFE that's why I'd signed up to fight, was because I was like, that's a cause worth fighting for.
We have too many other things to worry about, and we don't want money to be one of them. And so Bailey, I had a good friend that I grew up with named Larry Leggio, who was killed fighting a fire in Kansas City, Missouri, and his wife is still very active and SAFE. It's cool because his niece is actually an intern on our show, and get a chance to talk about him. And she'll ask me stories, things that some I can tell, some I can't tell. But I see how it unfortunately the impact, and just like for police officers, for firefighters, when there's a fire or there's someone's life in danger, you just go. You can't think about it. And to know that there is something in place that can help the families if something does happen, I know that's got to be very important to you as well, Bailey.
Well, absolutely. I don't have like a spouse or kids or anything like that, but it really just, the whole program really shows what you can accomplish when people kind of like team up. We all work together, right? Versus, what can I do if a coworker loses a spouse? Or I guess if we lose a coworker, what can I do for their spouse other than like cook them a casserole or something? Like, that's kind, but it's not helpful in the same way that unfortunately financial aid is. So I just think it's ingenious to take advantage of the natural competition that police versus fire has. It's going to draw a good crowd, bring a lot of money, and it's just so fun, right? So like, who doesn't want to, participate in something like that when you can help in a way that you wouldn't be able to otherwise?
And Jose will give you the last word on this, because again, I know that's a big motivating factor to you as well to raise money for SAFE.
Yeah, it's you get extremely close with your coworkers, and like he's saying, like his partner that he's with every day, they're pretty much brothers. Like, we spend a third of our life with our crews, and just like the thought of something bad happening to them in the line of duty, like that's you're losing part of that. Like, you're losing part of your family with that, and just being able to financially support their wife or kids or whatnot, just being able to get that burden off of them it's huge. It's I think everybody can relate to that. Just money isn't the most important thing, but it definitely helps everything. Like, you need money to do anything in life. So it's just a good cause.
And that's why I want everyone that's either watching this or listening to this podcast to buy tickets to Kansas City Guns and Hoses. They've all told you they're going to put on a show, so you're not going to worry about that. Now that I've gotten to know them, I know these are going to be the two best fights of the night. Tickets are just $25. You purchase them at the Municipal Auditorium box office and through Ticketmaster. You can go to kc-crime.org, and it's coming up on Saturday, June 24th. I'm going to be one of the MCs, and then just from a personal note, and I have good friends of both the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and the firefighters. We need more police officers. We need more firefighters. Not enough, because they go out there and they don't have the numbers necessary to help each other properly and to help us properly. And for the people that bitch about firefighters and police officers, guess what? When you get in trouble and you need someone, they're going to be the first fucking people you call when you call 911. And they're going to be there when you need them. And so we need to be there when they need us. And so support your firefighters, support your police officers, support your first responders. And remember, they're out there doing a job that most people are not capable of doing. And we need more people, and we need more support, more people in the academy, and more people out there that get the training that they need to go out and serve and protect and keep our people safe. And so I'm off my soapbox now, but I want you to buy tickets, come out. We'll have a great night. We'll raise money for SAFE, and we're going to find out, and maybe afterwards we'll have a wrap-up and find out exactly what the experience is like. But thank you guys very much. I know you've given up a lot of time today. Hopefully it was worth it. We'll get this out there, and people will learn more about you. And then you'll pick out who you're rooting for. You're rooting for the blue? You're rooting for the firefighters? I don't know. We're going to find out. And we'll see you on Saturday, June 24th at Municipal Auditorium. Until next episode, the microphone is off.